Hello G, welcome back to next one. In previous sessions we discussed about the JSON, and before that we have added a couple of Trello APIs on a Postman. We have created simply collection and then we have added all the APIs. Now the problem is whenever we are trying to work on a real APIs, then we have to design an entire collection such a way that we can execute our test cases and then we can generate a report, and all the data has to be dynamic. If we are reading a data from somewhere, or if from one API we are passing a data to the next API, we have to do the couple of validations, or these things should be managed from the collection itself. We are going to enhance this collection to the next level. How it is being used in a industry. First of all, here we have added a couple of APIs like boards API, card API, checklist API and comment API. So we have to separate this API based on a folder structure. So I'm going to add a new folder, board APIs, and I'm going to add all board related APIs to this particular folder. So now we have specific 3 APIs. I have moved these APIs into a board folder. Then we are going to add one more folder, which is a card APIs, and then we will move all card related API into this folder. So now we will get to know if we have multiple APIs like 100 APIs or 200 APIs. So based on functionality, we can easily identify. Otherwise, all the APIs will get messy, and for colleagues or who have not built that particular collection, for those, this will be little complicated to understand the APIs. Similarly, we are going to create a 2 more folder for a checklist and a comments. So now we have separated all APIs based on the folder. So if someone wants to execute boards API or card API, they will easily go to the particular folder and they can execute the APIs. Now before that, we have set the environments or some of the variables. So again, we are going to the Postman official documents, and here we will try to understand furthermore where we need to basically use appropriate variables. So first one is a global variable. That global variables are for entire collections, all the collections. For example, on this particular web workspace, I have 10 collections. So those global variables are being shared between all these 10 collections. So what is the purpose? For example, for a Trello, let's say Trello is a huge company, and for them, they have built a separate department for a separate functionality. Like one department is working on a boards API, another department is working on a card related API. They are taking care of only card functionality. So what happens? Both the department will come up with a separate collection, separate Swagger file. And if someone is consuming all the data, then they have to import or build multiple collections on a Postman. So like this one is a board collection, another one is a card collection, and then data will be exchanged between the multiple collections. So for those scenarios, global variable makes sense, but here we are going to consume a data for a only collection level. We have only one collection, and there we have added all the APIs. So it doesn't make sense if we are going to add a global level data or environment level data. If we have only single collection, then we can add data anywhere, a global level or collection level. So but here again there is a one more variables, which is an environment variable. So environment level variable also something similar to the collection level variable. But what happens, let's say I wanted to change values from environment to environment, like URL data, key or token data. This data will change if I'm working on a dev environment, staging environment, and then I'm moving to the furthermore environment. So those related data should go to environment level variable, and rest to data, for example, let's say I'm executing this board API and I am hitting on this API. Now what happens, I'll go to ID and I'll go to name. Now I need to based on this particular ID, I need to get a single board detail. So again, I'm going to this particular ID, I'm copying, and then I'm passing the data and I'm getting a single board details. Now what happens if I switch the environment? This basically ID, name and URL information will change, but structure will remain same. So environment to environment data will change, but key will be same. So what I will do, I will store the ID and I will get this ID details and I'll pass this ID detail irrespective of any environment. So this data I can store in a collection level variable. Now here collection level variable, we have stored key, secret and token, this data we have to move to the environment level variable. So I am going to again environment level variable, and I am going to create a new environment level variable which is a Trello environment English. I'm going to give a one name, and then I have to add basically key, secret and token, and then we will pass a URL as well. So here for each and every API till.com, that is a URL. So what I can do, I can simply pass a URL value here, so that data can be dynamic. So if I change the environment to environment, then those data should come from my environment. So I'm passing a URL detail, so those data should come from my environment. So if I change the environment, then I no need to worry about the URL. It will automatically getting changed with all the APIs. Now I'll move these details to the environment details, and then I'll delete this data. If I again go to the collection, and this is the collection level data. So if I again click on this, so here I have removed all the variables from the collection level, and those data I have moved to the environment level variable. So now I have for a Trello environment English, we have 4 different data: URL, token, secret and key. And to use that, basically we need to save this data, and then we have to change this environment. So if I wanted to run for a Hindi, let's understand Hindi is a first environment and English is a second environment. So like this, eventually I can change the data, and now I wanted to run for a test environment English, and then all the data will get changed. So URL, here you can see it is coming from E means environment, and this is the URL information. This is the key. Key is initial and current coming from a environment, and then again. So if I switch to the environment, or if I don't select any environment, then this data will throw me the error. Here it is all the data will show unresolved variable. But again, I'll switch back to the Hindi, or I'll switch back to the English, then data will basically changed, but it will based on the environment. So for example, let's say for Hindi I'm passing dummy URL, and if I switch the data like from as of now for English it is showing a URL, a proper URL, but if I move to the Hindi, and then it will change, the URL will change, and now it is showing a XYZ. So this is how we can quickly change one environment to another environment, and then we can execute the API. So in next session we are trying to do the furthermore enhancement. First here I got all this particular board details, board ID, and then manually I have passed with a single board ID, and then only we are able to get. So this will try to tweak with variables and pre-request script and post-request script, and we will see how this can be executed, 2 API parallelly executed without changing the data manually. So I hope this video is informative, and don't forget to like and share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for Fundu Testers. Thank you so much.